G'day, welcome back to the channel. So we've got a car on a bench and we're going to be doing something with it. We're going to be rebuilding it, but the plan is to turn this 4x4 into a 4x6 for the time being, while I'm still looking for really solid diff that allow a pass-through setup. These are the originals here, and of course I could go to 6x6 or 8x8, and I'm contemplating doing that. I'm just not sure if I can get enough parts to put two front diffs together again, because they're discontinued now, so that's great, isn't it? Anyway, so look, let's have a look at this right now. So what we have here, on that frog that keeps riveting out there. Might be a toad actually. So what we have here is the running gear and the assembly for the back. So that's the frame there. So you can see this is what I call the Uber chassis, the over chassis, and that runs down the length of the vehicle. This is the front extension over here, and the front plate that would go in the 8x8 configuration. Yeah, you might have noticed it's a backwards facing scoop on that, and that is for good reason, because I didn't want stuff getting rammed down there when I was driving through the bushes. And these here are the side panels that go under this, and this was printed on the TiVo Tarantula a long time ago, and you can see there were some print errors there, but that's that. Here is the front diff, of course, and now the back drive assembly. So what we have here is the extension piece, and this bolts on. And this piece here, these bars bolt on and attach here, and that is what extends the chassis. And then these go on top for the over chassis, and then this is the body from the top where the tray goes. And those are just some trim bits. Of course, I've got the two pass-through diffs here. The rear, so these are a 3-point instead of having. So on here now is a 4-point system. You can see it, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this came with a 3-point system. This is what I was running in the back. This is the original. It's a fairly flexible piece. And this is my 3D printed replacement, which is not a flexible piece. And of course, is also post-processed like I've broken this and reinforced it and fixed it. I've got a couple of those lying around in my box of bits. And what else we got going here? So that's pretty much that. So the next step in this is going to be removal of this piece here, which will be re-put onto the vehicle later on. I'll have to take off this top stuff so I can turn the vehicle over. And we're going to have to take this diff out and probably for now just disconnect the drivetrain from the front. As you can see, there are some issues up in the front. Destroyed that diff. You can find links to these on down below and in the other videos on this truck, at least in the ones where I do any maintenance and whatnot. It's, you know, they're good, but I think they're not quite built for this weight of a vehicle. If you were going to run these, you want to be using a lighter vehicle. This is actually quite heavy, and as you can see, it's got steel weights and lead weights underneath, because it's such a top-heavy vehicle. That's to bring the center of gravity back down. Anyhow, enough waffling. We'll get on with all of this. Montage! Oh, we're gonna have to get a little bit of a montage. see that is just a shorter piece there with a reinforcing bar across that. Mains up with this. So these shock towers, this is the design. It's a 3-piece design. So 1 solid piece and then 2 just clip-ons, so they can be sort of used on other rails. And then these triangles are just there to sort of strengthen it and help to transfer that load down into the shock tower. And of course triangles, because you know they're strong. So we've still got to get this off here and loosen off this plate, the battery plate, so I can open this up and bring this cross member out. I think I'm going to have to, yeah, because there's no gap in between here. So you can see between this bar that holds shock here and the body cowling here, there's no space, so I'm going to have to take this off here. Why so many screws, you might ask? Well, they are all there for redundancy, and also if you know, I lose a screw somewhere else, a lot of it's 3mm screws, so I should be able to, yeah, pull one off without losing any functionality. And of course, I've got a hex in here, unfortunately. So that panel comes off. So under there you can see I've got the gear changing servo, the motor, the gearbox is behind that, the main power bus, a lot of servo wires bunched up. This is a splash guard system that works in conjunction with that. And then just leather in the back here glued on, and these drain out into these pans, and yeah, that's that. Anyway, back to pulling apart. Okay, so get enough flex in the chassis now to get this out. And so that, whoops, excuse me, that there is the rear piece, and it'll go back on the rear. So I'll just stick all my bits together. This is the best way to make sure you don't lose anything, is to make sure it's always put back together. You don't lose your nuts and your bolts and your bits. So I've gotten the back off now, and the plan for this is going to be to attach the chassis, and then it's going to be flipped over and it'll be attaching the back axles. Alright, well, can't really think of much else to say, so let's do it. I'll do the same with the other side now, and put the back piece in, which goes like so. I'll come back when that's all on. Okay, so we got the back rails in there, and we got this cross member here, which I talked about earlier. I forgot to mention this one behind here, just another lead one, and I've put this part of the Uber chassis in place. And unfortunately, it does appear that the hole in this piece here is stripped out, so I'm going to have to put bolts behind the nuts behind these, make sure it tightens in properly. And then just to show you how the rest of it goes together, this back piece will go here, and that will go in there. more or less like so. And then this is held in here, here, and here, here, this piece, and bolts down there and this way. I've got to drill a receiving hole for this attachment point. This one I don't have to bother, and this is already all done. Something I might as well point out now is that as you can see, there is this lump on this here. It's still got the original design, and that's unnecessary. So I might just cut that off and cut this flat here as well. So we've got the back on now, and let's run through putting on the second axle. So this axle, I can't remember if I'm going to need this little extension, but it's going to sit like this, in here, about there. And this puppy here, you can see there's a slight bend in it. It'll be there. And the only real thing I have to sort of remember is if I use the intended hole or the one I made here. I tried a lot of different shocks on here, and so I may have, it's been so long, I'll have to try it, and if it's wrong I'll have to change it. Anyway, let's put this all together. So I had a bit of a conundrum putting all this together here, and I think I'm going to have to swap these over. These eyes are too big. These eyes are too big to fit in this gap. And I think I'm going to go over to the aluminium ones, which means I have a slightly shorter turnbuckle, so I need a slightly longer arm. So I'm going to swap these out. With turnbuckles, one end is left hand threaded, one end is right hand threaded. And as you can see, this is the right hand threaded side. It's actually not the one I want. Anyway, put that to the side for the moment. This one is the one I want. Left hand threaded one. Because the aluminium pieces are only right hand threaded. And you have to be careful or you get caught by that and strip out your aluminium piece. Put that bit back in, and these of course just push in, and then you thread that one in. That horrible unnatural feeling of a left-handed thread. Now I can't remember where I got these, but I got this pack off eBay, and it came with a bunch of different sized bits, and that is an awesome pack. I highly recommend you get yourself one of those if you're into these trucks for modifying and changing the configuration. You know, if you lift the suspension or increase this length here sort of thing, made along one of these and lifted the suspension or something, you'd have to change the geometry, and or want to make one yourself, got to change the geometry. So highly recommend that little thing. I will try to find a link to something to put in the description, but if not, just type in oh gosh, I don't know, I'll have to actually figure that out. Anyway, I've done this one here, so I'm going to do the other one over here and get it all put on. Quick tip when you're doing this, it's probably going to be easier to do the drive shaft. Like if you've got quite a long distance, something like that, you can just do the drive shaft like this. But if you've got a short distance, it might be a good idea to put it in before you put both the shocks on, and that way you've got that extra distance there to sort of try to get it on. In this case I've got a long distance, but you know, try to be helpful. As you can see, the traveler there is a lot more than the travel here, and this is because you see this here, there's a screw here and that's in the way there, so I might have to reposition this so at least I can have a little bit extra travel. Although as it is, that is actually going to, sorry about the camera, that is going to protect this arm somewhat, because if you look in here, you see the travel is, this arm will then push upon this corner into the weight, and that is probably going to, sorry about the jiggling, and that is probably going to cause some issue. Anyhow, I'll fix that up later on. You see this angle? That angle there? That angle there? These arms are probably slightly too long. So these arms should be removed and shortened, and that will reduce this angle slightly, and it will also reduce this. Now why would you think that's important? That is important because this will induce extra wear in this universal joint and a little bit of extra wear in this universal joint, although this is really quite an acceptable angle on this side here. So that's not a bad angle, but that over there is a bit much of an angle. Hard to avoid when you have such a sort of raised engine motor position. And with some weight, that'll be down, but you see it only increases the angle. So this is not ideally set up just here. Quick tip 2. I think it'd be a good idea, if you're doing these, to use the left-handed thread up in the body and the right-handed thread down here, because these will be the ones you want to change more, in my experience. If they break, it tends to happen down there. It's a little better. I like that more. Makes me a happy mark. Yes, angle means more wrangle from your dangle for your shaft, but you know, it's poetry, right? So you get it. Alrighty, see, that is a much better angle, as you can see here. Much happier. Now, time to take off this front drive shaft and put on some wheels and take it out there. Well, at least give it a trial run, eh? Well, I probably could have left that shaft on, which is a bit annoying, because I'm going to have to trim these shafts in these axles are thoroughly effed. So I'm going to just take a couple of millimeters off each of these so they don't interface here, and I can get away with having it as a 6x4 for now. Alright, she's done. Let's go try it out. Okay, so I've just got her out, put a battery in her, and sounds a little rough. And sorry about the dog barking over there, but I'll show you what I mean. I don't know if you could hear that, but it was there's still some clicking over those front in the front steering. Looks like I hadn't taken enough off, or something was binding up still a bit. So might just take it real gentle and have a run, make sure the back axles and drivetrain are running nicely, and capture a little bit of footage. Anyway, let's get into it. Hello, buddy. Look who's come to play, eh? Come to play, bud. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, my dogs. Hello. Ah, muddy feet. It's this back diff that's causing the bind up, so I'm going to have to pull that one apart and check that out as well. So yes, there are a couple of issues there, and I think we're going to have to do a little bit more work before she's ready for the track. So I'm pretty sure I know what the problem is. The problem is the gear on the drive input to this diff will have worn teeth, and that will be slipping on the main drive for that differential. So I have to pull it apart and replace it, and I will be doing that. I'll probably I'll film it, but I'll only put it in another video if people want to see that, because I think I might have covered it before, but I'll just do that just in case. So I'm going to take this off, fix this diff, and I also have to run the wire for the trailer down here, and I found this temperature resistant wire sheathing when I was down wasting time in J-Car recently, and so I'm going to run that all the way up and across. But this stuff can be a bit of a pain to use. It comes like this, and you're not going to get anything through there really. So you've got to unwrap it, and then it starts to unwind. Now it's not meltable, so it is fire resistant, and it's not something you can melt down and seal your ends. So I'm going to show you a little trick to get it on, to make it easy for you. So what I've done is I've taken the tape off this and stuck it around something, you know, an object of decent size with a nice pointy end, and held it and then taped it. So I'll do this with the other end, even though I'm not going to use all this much, because I'm going to go down through the hole here, under there, along there, and I might have to make some sort of pass through at the back. So we'll get onto that in a moment, but as to why the back is still just the framework, well, I dropped this, so I've got to fix it. And also it never had sides designed on it, you know, for this area here, so maybe I'll do something with that, but I've got to do that, so yeah, we'll just keep it like this for now. Looks pretty mean anyway, might have to take these off. But let's get on with looking at this. So here we are with nice wire cover, but yeah, we can't get anything in. So what we're going to do, we're going to get ourselves a bit of tape ready. Ooh, snip it off. Now I don't need that in there necessarily, so I'll show you on this end now. So we undo the annoying yellow tape that rips, take that off. And you want to sort of pull it like up and away, otherwise it'll pull the threading out. And then stick in your end, hold it, push it up, hold it, push it up, and then you hold that down there, bring the tape over, I hope I managed to capture that all in frame because the thing's gone dark on me. And that's that, and then you can pull that out of there and you've got your end. And then when you want to like seal it up, when you're done with working with it, you can take the tape off, get it to the size you want, re-tape it up. And that's probably the easiest way to sort of work with this stuff and keep it in form. If anyone else have any other tips out there about that, you know, please put them down below. I'd love to try them out. And you know, better tips is awesome. Alright, so I'm gonna get this off and fix it and put it back together, put this in, and then we go for a little drive. Oh, I also have to, I have to go on the other side and free up the other wheel hub from the drive shaft a bit more. That sounds unusual, doesn't it? So, I'm a dope. This was the one that I put in there, the spares box, that's actually now completely ratchet, so they can go away. I went through and I pulled out a, there she is, a spare front diff. As you can see, when I turn that, it's not turning that shaft here. This shaft is now free because it's got no gear on it. So I took it, I put it in there. So that's that. Let's get out there and rock and roll.
How you doing? I didn't want to bring you up because you're gonna get all muddy. You're gonna get all muddy, yeah, and wet. Oh, and then you'll need a wash.
Yeah, so it appears there's another gear that needs changing in the other diff now. So, or it might be a slipping hex nut on the end of the axle. I'll have to look into that. More maintenance. That's the hobby. Anyway, thank you for watching. Be well out there. Stay safe. And I'll catch you next time.